In this video, you will learn how to set up a recurring transaction. A recurring transaction is like a subscription, set up to take either a fixed or variable payment from a customer at regular intervals. Let's begin by logging into the online portal. Go to the Transactions tab. All recurring transactions require an initial transaction to use as a customer authorization for the recurring payments. When you find the transaction you wish to use, click the drop-down in the first column in the relevant row. Select Set up Recurring from the drop-down menu. This will open the Recurring Transactions Agreements tab. The first section is where you can look up an initial transaction, by ID or description if you prefer. For now, scroll down to the next section. Most fields do not need to be changed, as they are pre-populated by the initial transaction details. Scrolling down, you will come to a title, Subsequent Transaction Details. Under this are the first fields you might want to change. The first part is the Merchant Account field. This allows you to select a different account for processing transactions, if you have more than one. The second field, Start Date, is where you can set up the date for the first payment to be taken out. By default, this is set to today's date. The next field is Unique Reference. You can type a unique reference for your own convenience, often this is an invoice reference number or something similar. The final field is Cloned Fields. This is where you can add additional fields you want to be included in the recurring transaction reports. Scrolling down to Payment Schedule, you will see one field, Schedule Type. Here you can choose if you want a fixed payment cycle or a variable payment schedule. Fixed means you take the same amount at any frequency you wish. Variable means you can set up a sequence of different payment values on chosen dates. If you select Fixed Payment Cycle, you will see 3 sections below it, all of which are required. The first of these, Fixed Payment Cycle, has 3 options. The first is Recurring Amount. This is where you put in the amount you wish to take each payment cycle. The second is called Take Payment Every. This has 2 fields. The left field is to put a number and the right field is a drop-down to choose between days, weeks, months, or even years. These 2 fields will set how often you wish to take payments. For example, if you wanted to take a payment every 30 days, you would set the first field to 30 and the second to days. The third section is called Repeat. It has a drop-down where you can select to have this agreement continue forever or for a certain amount of cycles. For example, if you select cycles in the drop-down, you will need to enter a number in the box beside it. If you set this to 1, the agreement will only process 1 transaction. If you set it to 2, the agreement will continue for 2 transactions, and so on. This can be set to any number of cycles. The next section, Initial Payment Details, contains 2 optional fields. Initial Payment Date lets you set when you want the first payment to be processed. In the Initial Amount field, you specify the sum charged during the initial transaction. This value can either be customized to differ from subsequent fixed amounts or left blank to default to the recurring amount. The Final Payment Details section also contains 2 optional fields. The Final Payment Date is when you'll collect the last payment in this agreement. This amount can be different from the fixed payments only if you've set it differently, in the Final Amount field. Let's go back to look at variable payments. In the Payment Schedule section, change the choice to a Variable Payment Schedule. Below this there will only be one section. It has a small table called Schedule. By default, it has 2 columns, Date and Amount. This is where you can set the date a transaction is initiated and the amount of that transaction. You can then click the green button with a white plus in it to add another row and set another date and amount. You can do this for as many recurring transactions as you require. If you want to remove one, you can click the green button with a white X at the end of the row you wish to remove. The final section, Payment Retries, is how many times you want to attempt to retry failed payment requests. By default, this is set to 4. Please note, you may be charged for failed transactions. When you are satisfied everything is set up the way you want it, click the green button labeled Create Agreement at the bottom of the page to initiate your recurring transaction. For additional support during the setup, please reach out via email at online.support@paymentplusgateway.com. Thank you for watching.